far as artistically gathering information, I was gathering from a real early age. I don't know, it just was always looking, was always seeing the light and how it moved, the clouds and how they moved, the water and how that moved, looking around me and absorbing it all. I was just one big sponge. I was always drawing on something, whether it was a grocery bag or a tablet that was bought at the store that was generally used for other things, like my father's trap placement out in the harbor or whatever. I was always grabbing it and drawing something on that. And there was always a pencil that I could get sharpened. My dad would have a jackknife and he'd sharpen the pencil, and it wasn't anything perfect, but neither were my drawings back then either. So. It's in my blood, so that I'm operating out of Port Clyde all the time. That informs me, and no matter what I'm doing, that inner child that grew up down there, that was just so engrossed in that world of the smells and the sounds. It was just this incredible, delicious table spread out before me, in a sense of seagulls flying by, lobster boats going by. My dad's business was down below, where the buoys were being painted, and it was just this whole sense of sensory deliciousness, that just held my childhood together in this really incredible way. I did a painting called I Do, which in a way is the consummation of the experiences that I had out on the wharfs. It came from all of that sensory input, and the female that's in the painting. She is probably the embodiment of Port Clyde and my youthful lustings and musings and all that. I think, that brought to a close, that particular chapter as me kind of going on and marrying my muse in a way, saying I do to the muse. And I wanted to grow up in Port Clyde. I had to grow up in Port Clyde. I knew this. I had to grow up there. I knew that I had something to say about its life, its history. And I was going to be the only one to say it. And we all lived in that beautiful fish shanty, that fish shack, almost like a womb place in my imagination and memory. And I can remember, feeling warm, comfortable, looking out over the cove. Is the place that is my eldest muse. I recognize that, and it's my eldest earthly muse. It was a womb. And I've never, a lot of people say, yeah, you lived in poverty, but I never saw it that way. I never saw it, never. As far as anything of any value came from inside of me. And my connection with the place, my connection with the spirits there, my connection with the family, the people, that's the stuff that fed me over and over again. All of this is activated through the child that I've got inside of me, and that's the one I'm keeping my eye on all the time. And he doesn't always mind. I carry that child with me, and that child is in relation to all things. This is the way into that voice that I heard very early on. That sounded like the whispering leaves, So that child, that's my first heart, is the one that's goes where it needs to go to get the inspiration. I'm finding my way into my first heart, the spiritual experience that I had of Port Clyde, of coming alive, coming of age, coming awake, coming into myself, my essence, my whole mode of being. That is my way in. It's my way into the Muses. One of the first paintings I did where I really connected the dots. In every sense of the word was one called the Christmas Tree Village. And it brought all of my loves together. It brought them all together in one painting. And it's a 3x4 foot painting. And it came out, wrote itself, painted itself. And it allowed me to, when it was sold, it allowed me to build this house. You know, I traded paintings, several paintings for the land. And I began to find a way I first understood that I was going to be an artist when I was very young. 5, maybe 4, 5, somewhere in there. It was a way of looking at the world because of the experience that happened to me first thing out the gate, when I saw the angel at 2.5 years old. I remember I could hear, you know, the sounds of Port Clyde, the waves, the beach. And simultaneously with that, it must have started raining. I looked up. In the field, where there should have been a field, there was a block of light, and the rain was coming down around, but not hitting any of that. And then behind the angel was this bright light, where before there was all of Port Clyde. It felt like it had just slid back and exposed that particular being, and I got to see it. She said, "Welcome to the world." And it was as though I was given consciousness by this angel, and I have no doubt of that. That's exactly what happened. I became conscious. I came out of the Coney's Fish Shack, one kid, and I went in another. I knew, and I've always known, even though I had to sublimate the knowledge of the angel because of the circumstances that my mother was in when we grew up. We were living on the state, which is another way of saying, you know, she was a welfare dependent mother. But since we were all kind of in precarious circumstances, I realized early on this is something that I wasn't to speak about because I knew it. I knew it inside that she had appeared, that the angel had appeared. But if I spoke about it, I realized I likely, due to the circumstances of my childhood at the time, probably would have been taken away. As I was growing up, the memory of the shack, the memory of the road, the angel, the rain coming down, all kind of combined to give that sort of safe harbor feeling, that safe home feeling. There were periods in time where I was like, did that really happen? You know, something that I kind of wrestled with for a while, for a long while. You know, why did this happen to me? Why have I got this? You know, part of the experience of seeing the angel was that timelessness. And when I took my first drink, I experienced that timelessness again. And I wasn't necessarily aware that was what was going on, but you know, being on the other side of it where I am now, I get a pretty good sense that I was trying to recapture that and live in it. And so I lived that way for 35 years and then sobered up. And once I did that, I began to realize that the other way that I also lived that timelessness was in my paintings. And really only since I stopped drinking alcohol have I really let it unwind to the extent that, and that's been 3.5 years or more. Have I let it unwind to the point where it is now, you know, begin to paint the painting. Well, I ran away from it for a long time, and you know, it didn't do me any good because it caught up with me eventually. And what I've really come to understand in the last couple of years, in particular, being sober now, is that I've had a guardian angel the whole time. That angel's looked out after me, even though I've kind of goofed along in my own way, drinking. So now I'm very aware that what time I've got left to me, you know, I want to use it as nothing's wasted, nothing. You know, I know it's not. I had to have the experiences I had to have, but now I'm redoubling my efforts at this point to really shape the next phase of things. was a kid, I became a teenager, I became a young man, I became middle-aged, and in all of those different phases of my life, I had certain pictures I had to paint, certain ones I couldn't paint, certain ones I knew were waiting for me to paint, and I don't plan a painting, I come awake to a painting. It wakens in me, and that's how I paint. I can't make the muse stand still. You know, the best I can do is claim a painting in that particular muse's name. It seemed that at the right time, that right muse ended up showing up so that I was able to take it to the next level. And I've kind of courted it that way. You know, I'm not a folk art painter. I'm not a portrait painter. I've been asked to do commission portraits. And there are times when, to be quite honest, that money would have come in handy. But I've declined because I only paint what interests me. And if I can't find the way in to that person's aura, for lack of a better word, I don't know, sense of being, I'm not going to go there. And that's sometimes been frustrating to, you know, if I'm in a mate relationship. but that's the way I'm built. And the theme of the muse, whether it's a place, a season, a time, an aspect, my own inner child, there's a theme that we all play. I think that's whether you're an artist or not, you know. Some of us are bound to be appreciators, and we need appreciators. Some of us our theme is to make art, like mine is. We're all individual, like snowflakes, and you know, there's no one other than you that's going to be able to sing your song. All the things that I've learned have brought me here. All the experiences I've had have brought me here, to right now, to the present moment. And when I'm painting, it's as though I am just kind of floating along like a potpourri. I don't really have a name for this painting. It hasn't suggested itself, other than I call it The Lovers. And that's as far as I've got with the name. And various times I've called it the Lovers above Port Clyde. And it's had many incarnations. At first, when it first started out, it was snow on the ground. And now it's become autumny. And I put it away. I put this painting away for almost 15 years. Until 2007 or so. And I took it back out and begun reworking it. I've got it established enough now that I know I can keep coming back, picking away at it, And this encapsulates the village. This is the main street of Port Clyde. I spent my teenage years here in this place, and I'm going to be, sooner or later you'll see me in here at the kitchen table. There'll be a table. And I brought it back out because I knew I had to finish it. I'm no longer painting paintings, I'm painting love letters. And that's what's going out. Before that I'd call them messages in bottles. And that had that kind of double meaning, of something that you throw in the ocean and you may get a response, you may not. And, or this, which I did enough of. But when I came to realize that the painting itself was about what I want to give to the future. These paintings are my love letters to the future.